Alright, what you see here is a Casablanca Delta 2 ceiling fan. It is in a very uncommon brushed nickel finish. Originally, I thought that they only made the Delta 3s in the brushed nickel finish, but they actually did make the Delta 2 in the brushed nickel finish in the late 90s. So I do retract the statement that I made when I was doing the video on the Champagne Delta 2. But yeah. Now they did sell these fans up until the year 2001, which was the last year they sold the Delta 2. This one is from June 5th, 2000, and it is the 491st fan made that day. It's the first Delta 2 that I have that's from the 2000s that I'm testing down here. Well, from 2000 2001, so it is one of the last ones that they made before they discontinued them altogether. Basically, they discontinued them and made Panama's either IT, adapt touch, all that other stuff, and 3-speed or 4-speed. Well, 4-speed came later on, so they figured they just make the Panama their 3-speed basic fan and get rid of the Delta 2, or the Delta more specifically in terms of the series. I kind of do wish that they kept the Delta 2 around instead. I do like the Panama, it's 3-speed, but I feel like just canceling the Delta 2 altogether. I don't know, I feel like they could have kept it around. So you're not much of a difference. The only difference is the vents, and that's about it. But I do like the vent design on the Delta 2 more. It's definitely more iconic for Casablanca than the Panama vents. I mean, the Panama vents you definitely do see a lot, but you don't see it being copied so much like the Delta 2. But yeah. So yeah, this one I got off of eBay. Fan collector Gregory Parker is the one that sold it to me. I think I already said that earlier, but if not, I'll be saying it again. He's offering a good price for it, but then he offered me a 20% off discount, so I went down to like $100 plus shipping. So for that, I knew it was a deal that I couldn't pass up. Been eyeing out for it for quite a bit. There's like 11 other people watching it, so yeah, definitely it's a fan I've been wanting to get for a while. A brushed nickel Delta 2 or 3. This one's definitely the 2, as it was from before they discontinued the Delta series. The Delta 3 was basically an IntelliTouch version, though it is possible that they had chain versions of it. These were sold at Design Expo stores specifically. But I know somebody else's. There's like a few others that have found them. There's a collector that's on YouTube. I forget his name. I think it's John Conley. I think it's John. He has one in his kitchen, or had one, with a 4 light kit, K4S, and some fans, better known on YouTube or on Facebook as Brian Lee. He has I think one that was new in box. I just don't remember when it was from. But yeah. So this fan originally came with light oak blades. I'm showing it with the maple blades because they are warped upwards for some odd reason. And what I'm thinking is that this fan came from Habitat, and the way they set up the fans on the shelves, they just set them on the blades, and I feel like that definitely messed up some of the blades on it. Blade arms are definitely bent upwards. There's like 2 or 3 of them that are bent upwards in a way that is caused from it being stored on those wooden racks and such. So if I am to install this somewhere, I'm definitely going to have to swap the blade arms for another set. Or try to fix it, but with how solid these blade arms are, I really don't see that happening and such. But yeah. There's the tag. This is going to be the next fan I put up in the bedroom. And what I've also been thinking about is swapping the vent off of this and putting it on the Panama instead of swapping out the whole fan, because it's literally almost the same thing, just the vents are different. And I really don't want to swap out a whole fan just for the vents. I'd rather just swap the bottom vent screen, in all honesty. But yeah, when I get my own place and move out of here, then I would swap it out completely with this one. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and start off on low speed. And it does have a bit of a longer downrod than what you'd see on these Hunter type downrods that they would have. This one does use an XLP motor. Now, there's definitely a lot of places I could see these installed in had they been sold a lot longer in this finish. Restaurants, stores, literally almost any place you see a fan that's like in a brushed nickel finish with 4 blades nowadays. So they where I can see these in. In fact, the university I went to, that the library that was there, that I would spend a lot of time in doing homework, these would look really nice in that library. Though, obviously they probably want to spend a few hundred for each fan. Probably go for something more basic, like a kitchen or a stirring man or something like that. But these would look really nice though in that setting. I can like even see these like in a music store, like the 2000s or something. It's hard to believe that this fan's actually a 20-year-old fan, but it's just because of the finish and how much it looks like today's fans. Well, more so that a lot of today's fans still look like the design and the finishes, they still look like most fans from 20 years ago. Brushed nickel and white, I mean, the two that I definitely have stuck around the longest since that time period. That's still a finish that's selling to this day. Same thing with black, but brushed nickel and white are like the two major finishes from the year like 2000 or 1999 that are still around and selling pretty well. But yeah, definitely, I would put this in my bedroom now. It's literally the same exact fan of what I already got in there now. So I feel it would just be better just to swap the vents if I really wanted to have like the Delta vents in there and such. That way I'm not having to kill the power, take down the whole fan, open up the motor housing, put the receiver from the Panama II into this one. That way I can control it from the bed at night, and then put it back up. Oh, and having to put the white kit on it too. I figured it'd be just a lot more work than necessary. Whereas this, swapping the bottom plate, or basically make it look identical and all that. But yeah. I mean, if I was gonna live here permanently, that's a different story. Like, I'm probably gonna be here for like another 2 years at most. So maybe shorter, who knows? I do prefer the vents on this a lot more than the Panama vents. Has more of a 2000s, 90s look to it. I think this looks a lot more unique. All right, now to move it up to medium. No, the only major difference aside from the vents on this one is that the Casablanca tag doesn't just say Casablanca. It has like all the information and all that, like the serial information, whereas the Panama has it on the top. That'd only be the major difference. Same time, if I was to put this in the bedroom, the Panama could always go in another spot as well in the future. And I'm not saying in this apartment, I mean like when I get my own place. Or at the same time, doing that would also give me a chance to put up another Panama, as I do have another one that I have as well. Yeah, either way, a living room install or a bedroom or my bedroom is where I install this. I probably wouldn't put this in the living room. I'd probably put something that's more dark, a black fan or a black with rosewood. And there's also the champagne Delta 2 that I can put up too in the bedroom. This to give it a little different look. Actually, that one wouldn't be a bad office stand, now that I think about it. Yeah, it definitely has a good medium speed to it. Now, it does wobble a bit on the high speed, and it's obviously because of the blades being out of clock, or more so the blade arms. Alright, now to show it on high. There's a ton of air, as to be expected from the Casablanca. I think, from what I remember, these were, looking back in the catalogs, they sold these in this finish from, I think, either 1997 or 1998 up until they discontinued the Delta 2 in 2000, after 2001. And that's because, the reason why I know that is because, well, that they sold them up until they discontinued them. It's because I have a brochure from Casablanca's brochure from 2001, and it does have the Delta in that. It's just called Delta, not Delta 2. I know like around that point they were starting to drop the Delta 2 name and just calling it the Delta. At the same time, though, the motor in this one is obviously more used than the one in the Panama II. So at the end of the day, if I was to swap the vents, I'd still have the same look and have it on a motor that's hasn't been used as much. And I do have the brushed nickel K4B I can put on it as well to give it more of a Casablanca look. One thing is, then I wouldn't be able to really use it for testing. So I could always just pull it off the fan just for whatever fan I'm going to test it with. It's honestly the main reason why I haven't put it on it. probably do it sometime later this year. Yeah, the air movement, honestly, like it's not like it's that much different from the KV-5 Delta 2s that I've tested. Air movement's about the same. Some people say that it moves a lot more air, but they're both really good air movers. Maybe there's a tiny bit difference, but it's nothing really that notable. I mean, the KV-5 probably does move just a tiny bit more air, but that's XLP. It's not like there's a really big difference in the air movement, where one is a lot more powerful than the other. Both are still very powerful fans, without a question. Alright, I'll just shut it off and spin down, then I'll show it in reverse. I'm not sure on the of the Delta 2s from the year 2001 if they had this tag or if it was just the one that says Casablanca and then they had the serial number and all of that on the top. Something I'm definitely curious about. Yeah, I could even see these like including like restaurants that I was saying earlier. I could see them installed. I could definitely see them like installed in subways or something like that. Now, for those wondering earlier, in the year I did say I was gonna try the champagne one with the maple blades. When I tried it on, I don't know what it is. Just I didn't feel like the maple blades really went that well with it. On this fan, it's a different story, but it kind of made it look like too much of like a subway type fan. I really didn't like that look. It's definitely possible I could do it down the road, but I just wasn't really down for filming that one. Plus, knowing I was getting this fan, I figured it'd be better not to do a video of it with the maple blades because then it would look way too similar to this one and such. So, and that's the other reason. All right. Now for low reverse. Plus, at the same time, I feel like the maple blades make it look too newer than the period it came from. I really did like the champagne look of the bleach stroke blades. It definitely gives it a late 90s, early 2000s look. Whereas putting the maple blades on, I feel like it was trying to force it to look newer than it really was. I mean, it definitely works, but at the same time, I just knew that it would look way too similar to this one, so I didn't really want to have the video have them look too similar. Try to make them a bit differentiated and such. Especially since the same light I'd be using on them and such. Now, like with the classic, of the gloss white stealth that I have and the architectural white one, that's definitely a different story. But like using wood blades on both of them. For one has a longer down arm, one doesn't, and also different control setup, and it's kind of more noticeable the finish difference and such. I also just figured maybe just hold off on that just because I wanted to film some other stuff. So I figured in the meantime, at least I can show you guys the Delta 2 and brush nickel with the maple blades. And then I'll show it with the champagne one with it later on. I think I just use the time from the other stuff that I'd rather get tested and such. And just save that for another time in the future. Same case with the gloss black Delta 2, where I wanted to test it with some rosewood blades. I think maybe just wait until I can find some and then test it later on with rosewood blades. Yeah. So yeah, and that'll be it for this video. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and stay tuned for more videos to come.